As a board member, you keep your nose in, you understand, you keep your ear to what is happening in the environment, and you understand it on a broad level or a high perspective level, a lot of insight, a lot of helpful hints, but keep your hands out of it. Let your executive
Keep it
run
strategic and operations separate.
So I think that's probably to your question of what is some of the misunderstood pieces of what the role of being a board member is. You are not there to fix everything. You are there to be a part of a team that understands the world and the patterns of the world, even around your business or the business you care for. You're a steward of that. You're a care holder, it's not a shareholder. And you're there in order to support whoever is your executive. You have that employee to run the organization. Trust them with it. So new board members oftentimes forget what their role is in governance. There are operational boards. I'll keep that in mind. I have been on operational boards where you are legitimately running events to get fundraising. That occurs as well in not-for-profit worlds. And those are very important. But making sure that you ask those questions as you're coming in. What are you really looking for from me as a board member before I take the oath and stick around for a number of years and learn everything about whatever it is I'm supposed to do? What do you really want from me? Is it that you want me to run events, or are you looking for insights, connections, and assistance wherever I might be able to support you?
No, I think that's a good point. And even on the operational boards, there's still a level of strategy that's required. Like you can't let that kind of like skew away or distract you from.
Your fiduciary duties they're still there. So you really need to understand where those start and stop. And because the risk is if you don't stop where you're supposed to, you're actually now stepping on the toes of your creators, your executives, and they're the creative group, right? So if you stifle their talent by being there, that's not a great environment for any executive to be working in. You should be there as a support. And really, as an alarm, if you see that there is something that's happening, it is really important for those board members to be strong in their communication styles and very supportive as well, right?
Interesting, And I guess is that where the board role creep kind of happens? You've kind of talked about this before, and maybe explain what that even is.
We talked about it off camera. We've chatted about it before. Role creep occurs. I mean, it'll happen even within organizations, not board members aside, right? You can have directors that really, really want to be in the HR realm, and they're now stepping on the toes of the HR person, and because I'm really good at it, that's what I did before. Well, there's a way of supporting whoever is in that role to develop them. To share your skill set. That's different than role creep. So role creep is really the assumption that I am better. I'm going to do this better than you. So I'm just going to start doing it. Or I'm going to tell you what to do rather than saying, let's talk collaboratively about this. And come to some sort of understanding that as a board member, you truly are a part of the professional development sometimes of some of these individuals that you come in to support.
And it's funny because a lot of small business owners are gritty. Like they just want to get stuff done.
Absolutely.
Like they don't want to just like advise and then walk away. Like it's just like get it done by next week. Like
I know.
You know, and so there's even more of a risk for small business owners that are getting involved on boards because of their style or their kind of like
their inclination.
Successful, you know.
That is truly what makes a business owner successful is their grittiness, right? And this is where I don't disagree. Listen, I have offended many people. We're going to get to it. Stick around. Because I am like that, where I can see and I'm not that smart. I just, every once in a while, you can see the patterns of something that's happened in the past. And if you shift this here, from patterns that have shown me, it's going to shift this over here and that over there. And here's about the timeline, and we can gauge it. And you can see those things, especially if you've ran your own business, which I did. I did run a business at one point in my life. And then I realized I was like the worst boss to myself ever. I never took a day off, and I was very good, but I needed to take a day off when I started my family. And, those personalities are fantastic to have on a board because they themselves are learning new skills. And It is a huge challenge to walk into a boardroom that may not be moving at the pace that you are, either physically, mentally, or just in your board or in your career succession planning, right?
Yeah.
But why are you there? You're there to share whatever you've learned.
Yeah, right.
So all of us, I'm assuming all of us have had mentors in our life. We're not the smartest person in the room. Hopefully nobody's assuming that they are, because there's a lot of smart people out there. Surround yourself in them. You've been asked to be in the room and surround somebody with the smartest people in the room. That's fun. You can't be the best at everything. But yeah, role creep occurs when, yes, there are those mindsets that have not yet maybe leaned into the idea of challenging a new skill in themselves, which is to be more collaborative.
Right.
I've used board environments to learn from other people as well on their leadership styles, what to do and not do. I've learned from seeing. I think I learn from seeing, right? Anytime I learn a new task, I'm like, can you show me first? And then I'll figure out how I'm going to do it. And then I'll tell you how I did it too. If you are that entrepreneurial spirit, it's not a bad thing, but know that it will take a different type of flexing, a different muscle in your brain, which will be sometimes to take a breath before responding when asked a question, because there might be someone in the room that doesn't speak as much. You talk to them outside of the room and you know, actually they have some insight and they're not sharing it. So I find it fun because it's just being on different teams.
Yeah, that's true.
You get to learn from people.
A whole new set of dynamic at each board. And which is frustrating, because if you're ever on the champion team and then the next year you're on the juniors or something, the Bantam A and Bantam B, you're going to be frustrated by the fact that it's not moving at the pace you want. But it's just, it's a new way of learning. We talked about in the beginning, you said something about leadership training. Yeah. Honestly, I did a master's in leadership from Royal Roads University. If you want to take it, it's fantastic. But truly, I called it how not to be, can I say asshole? Okay. How not to be an asshole boss. Yeah.
Really. And I can't claim that I am perfect. I'm not getting straight A's on my application of this. I learn every day something new whenever I'm working with new teams. It's amazing. Yeah.
How not to mess up, basically. Yeah.
How to be a little bit more aware, I think, right? When you're on new boards, boy, right away, you can notice where the barriers lie, even within that group, if you're that type of person. And if you're coming there to understand that, it's a petri dish of awesome to figure out people and how they tick. You're going to have to do that even within your board. You have to have a friend in every corner.
Right.
And you're not going to agree on every single thing. But you have to understand that sometimes I've seen examples. I'll give you a specific example where, board members were extremely hard on their executive. And I knew that this executive was challenged by that because they were now losing faith in themselves. So their imposter syndrome was going through the roof.
Because they're being challenged on everything. They're like, am I even doing the right job? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they were ready to walk, right? And they weren't saying that in the room, but you could see it in their body language. And I knew that it was not going to work if I'm a pretty good cheerleader. Eric, if you ever need a cheerleader, I'm good to have around. We've coached some people through some difficult situations, but that wasn't what was going to work in that room. What was going to work was breaking down a misunderstanding within the room of that individual did X. That did not imply that they felt this. It was a political situation, right? Yeah. And so I had to work with the individuals that felt that this executive was going beyond what their authorities were because they felt that it wasn't in agreement with what the board had said to do. Yeah. And it was it was just a different way of getting there. They were talking to different people. They were doing different things, having friends in every corner. And I knew that my job in that room was going to be in some way a bit of a referee, a translator, if you will, but also outside of that room. I needed to understand what was holding that group of board members to really dislike how this executive was doing their job.